What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our Crypto Talk, where we bring on the minds building the future without boring you to death in the first 30 seconds. Today's guest is Markus Levin, co founder of XYO, a project that's been quietly building one of the most significant DePIN infrastructures in Web3. Marcus mined his first Bitcoin back in 2013, back when most people still thought it was a scam. And since then, he's helped scale tech companies around the globe. Now, with XYO, he's connecting real world data to blockchains using geospatial truth, cryptographic verification, and a network of millions of nodes. Marcus, it's great to have you here. How have you been doing today?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. This is really great to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. The pleasure is ours, Marcus. So, let's just rewind to 2013. I've been reading it quite a lot. So, if I'm right, you mined your first Bitcoin back in 2013, right?
That's right, yes.
So, I'd like to ask what pulled you in at that time and what was your setup like back then?
Yeah, it was interesting, that it was super easy to mine Bitcoin. It's like there was there's some price spikes in Bitcoin, and it was very low, and so some people got interested, and some of my friends got interested, and so I got interested in Bitcoin, and then you were able to mine it still on the regular computer, and so we thought, okay, maybe we can have a setup where we have a lot of regular computers and mine there, and so we created some software products and gave people free software, and we said, if you use that software, then we can use it for free if you let us mine on your computers, and so people said yes to that and got free software, and that was our way to become a larger Bitcoin miner back then. But it wasn't profitable enough, in 2013. So we actually changed our business model, and after a year or two, we changed it and did big data mining. So we did big data problem solving for pharma companies and hedge funds and others, and University of Washington. We did a cancer research project, for example, and so we actually created a DePIN project back then already in like 2013 to 2015, and that basically got me super excited about everything. And even after I left the crypto sphere for a little bit, I was a CEO of an ad tech company, and then I was co-founder and CEO of a media company and a data company, and so on. And I was always still excited about crypto, and so in 2018, a really great opportunity presented itself as XYO, and so I came back right back in.
That's wild. I personally love hearing stories from the early mining and the early Bitcoin days. I mean, it's crazy how those small experiments, just laid the foundations of for folks like you to now build infrastructure scale networks. And you've seen this tech grow from nothing, and it shows in how you've approached XYO. So, for someone hearing about XYO for the very first time, how do you explain it in simple terms?
In the absolute simple terms, we're basically a data company. We collect data, and we validate and verify it, and then it's incentivized. The data collection is incentivized with a cryptocurrency called XYO, which is traded on Coinbase and a number of other cryptocurrency exchanges, and so in the end, we're a data verification collection company, but there is more to it. We started out only with location data, because we realized location data gets easily spoofed or hacked, and there's more and more value attached to location data, and so we created some technology which allows you to have certainty around location data, and then on top of that, we build more and more things, and now you can validate and verify, collect other types of data as well, and also you have this, besides a proof of location kind of technology, we also have proof of origins. We can prove the data point was generated, where it was saved and where it ended up in the end. And our incentive mechanisms became a little bit more complex because you get incentivized not only for the collection, but also for the storing of the data or crunching of data, for example, as well. Yes.
I mean, that's a very solid breakdown. I mean, what stands out to me is how you've actually, built something that connects the digital and physical worlds without actually compromising the ownership. And you've kept it grounded in real use while, still pushing boundaries. And a lot of projects are building products hoping for adoption, but um, yeah, I mean, you guys did it in reverse. I guess you already had millions onboarded through the Coin app before people even realize it was a Web3 play, right? So
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the interesting thing there is that we started with IoT devices, like most DePIN projects, and that was just difficult to understand for non-crypto people. And so we decided to launch the coin app to make it easier and to have a larger addressable market. Because in the end, what matters is that you have more data collection. It doesn't matter that you have crypto people doing the data collection, but if you want like a broad set of people, and so the coin app really enables that, right? Because we did some measurements, and today about 80% of the people come into our ecosystem are non-crypto people, but they are inside the app. They also we changed it before they earned XYO. Now you earn points, and those points got tied to the US dollar, and those points you can exchange for XYO, BTC, or ETH with some products like AirPods or PlayStation and stuff like that. And so uh, people, but 95% of people who come into the app redeem for their points for XYO. So we onboarded millions into the crypto sphere through that app, and we make it very easy for anyone to just come. So we have crypto curious people. We have lots of like drivers, like truckers and Uber drivers, Grab drivers. And then we have people who like to walk around and create lots of location data, but then people who like the gamification or the social aspects of our app. And there's many, many, many different groups which are attracted to our app. And because of that, it's relatively easy for us to onboard all these people. And now, we have more than 8 million nodes in the network, which makes us one of the largest DePIN out there as well.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of impressive. And uh, like you mentioned, you have your proof of location and origin tech, which is actually the core to the project, right? And I'd love to know how does it work, and how do you make sure that the data is actually verifiable?
Yeah. So the proof of location does a few things, but on the core thing is that it does like bound witnesses or cryptographic handshakes between devices, and those devices, and as they interact, right, you have one interaction, right, that's easy to spoof, but then as those devices move away and have interactions with other devices, and then with other devices and so on, then it becomes and you have cryptographic proofs of those interactions. Then over time, you have more and more certainty that certain data points are true and correct. And then let's say if the data point jumps from one spot to the other, it might it was probably spoofed. And so that's the basis of the proof location. But then on top of that, we have lots of mathematical proofs and other technology which allows you to prove, to get more certainty, the digital fingerprinting and many, many other things we do to have certainty around location. And then for the proof of origin, we do we basically take a data point, let's say from a temperature sensor, right? And then the data gets tangled as it gets handed over to, let's say, a database, IPFS database, for example, right? And then from there, data goes into a smart contract, so the handover gets tangled again. It's supposed to be a mini blockchain handoff, and as you have these handoffs, once you have the proof of origin of the data, and you can say where it come from, where it was stored, and where it ended up. Actually, and that way, you have a high degree of certainty that that you can say where data came from. That's the core of our technology. But then we built a lot of other things around data storage and crunching of data and AI and so on, and everything ties together basically. But as I said in the beginning, basically we are a data company which enables a collection and validation verification of the data.
Right. I mean, that's impressive because, you know, it's more than just about collecting data. I mean, it's about making sure it cannot be faked, and that layer of trust makes all the difference when you're actually working with anything tied to real world outcomes, right?
Well,
And I think what people don't always get is that it isn't just about data; it's about the data you actually control, and that hits different in a world where your phone's already tracking you for free, right? And yeah, I mean, um, that's amazing. I didn't expect to walk away from this conversation with a full blown appreciation for what a proof of location system even means, because I was not aware of that. So, uh, also, moving on, I'd like to add to that. You guys recently launched the XYO Layer One, if I'm not wrong. And one question that, you know, I guess anyone who is watching this video or anyone who is reading about XYO would have this in mind. Like, why build your own chain, And what does it unlock for your ecosystem? What's the thought behind that?
yeah, for the longest time we didn't want to build a blockchain, and we said we are this middleware technology connecting to all the blockchains. We had like these bridges connecting to like Ethereum and Solana and others. And we thought we should live in the middle and not create our layer one. But the problem was that uh, we built so much technology and create so much data, and it became we had many places of truth, basically, where we store that data. Right, we can store it in an IPFS, but also on Solana or Ethereum or wherever. And so it was difficult to figure out, like, where is all that data. And now the layer one basically creates a set of truth for our data ecosystem. That's where the data will be stored and where it can be referenced. And then from there, once it's stored there, then we connect it to all the other chains. So you can go back to the origin chain, which is our XYO layer one, and then, connect it somewhere else. And so it will enable us to have much more efficient data storage. As you know, like, data storage is expensive on other chains, and ours, it's going to be very cheap, because that's the primary purpose is data. And and so it just became a necessity for us as the next step to build the layer one. But our project is around for like 7 years. For 7 years we avoided to build the layer one, but now we had all those components already. It was just the next step for us to do it.
I mean, 7 years is a long time in this industry because it's just been what 13, 14 years, and that's amazing. And that actually makes a lot of sense because uh, you're not just doing it for just chasing scalability, as they say, but you're actually building something that fits your exact model. And like you mentioned, when data is the core asset, you should have the full control over the stack, and that's very essential at this point, I feel. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And the XYO token, like we talked about, it powers the whole thing. It powers the whole thing. And how is it structured to keep users and end developers both aligned and incentivized?
Yeah, yeah. So there's 4 components on the data stuff. There's sentinels which collect data to and then there's bridges which relays the data, and then there's devices which are called archivists, which store the data, and diviners which crunch the data to give you the best answers. And so as you provide something for the network which is useful to someone else, right, you get paid in XYO there. And then for developers, our technology is all open source. So as you provide something to our ecosystem, there are certain incentives, and we have hackathons and then all these things for developers, but where they get incentivized in our network. We also have a $20 million ecosystem fund in partnership with Outliers, and there we invest in projects and developer teams, which build on top of XYO, or which are the DePIN system and connect somehow to our ecosystem. If your listeners are interested, they should just send an email to partnerships@xyo.network and present what they seek investment for, and we're happy to check it out.
Yeah, I mean that's good, and that's very clear on your part that the token is just not tacked on, and it it's very important to actually keep the entire network aligned without just over engineering it, and that's the good part on your end. And like you mentioned, uh developers looking to build on XYO, or maybe what kind of tools or use cases are you hoping to see more of on that?
On top of XYO, I think more Web3 native usage of our data. Like right now, our demand mostly comes from Web2 partners. And I think that is because a lot of the Web3 projects, they haven't quite figured out their revenue models yet. So they don't know yet, how they can pay and connect. Often inside the ecosystem in DeFi, I think everything is figured out. Not everything, but a lot of is figured out. Right? One project interacts with the other, like no problem, But in the niches outside of DeFi, it's sometimes little difficult for Web3 to connect with Web3, and we hope to see more demand of our services and data from Web3 project. It's growing, but it's slower than we want it to be. But in the meantime, we have all these Web2 partners, and of course we like them as well.
uh that's great. And talking about the Web2 partners, like, and I'm genuinely interested in the Coin app, to be honest, because uh, it actually helped scale the node network massively. And what led to that growth, I would love to know that. And where does the coin fit today? And an add-on question to that would be, you know any surprising countries or regions where the XYO or the coin thing really took off, which even you saw as a surprise?
Yeah. We are all around the world, and I don't know in which country we are not. Maybe the ones we don't promote the app in all the countries, but we it really everywhere. And we see sometimes that there's communities and then virality for the app, and we see lots of install, and then sometimes trading volume of the XYO token and so on. For example, we had big big maybe 6 months ago in India. It was huge for us. Just before that, Indonesia, the Philippines at the same time were huge, and then we have in the Netherlands, for some reason, Netherlands, small country, and suddenly, we had some reality there, and we have North America, that's where I'm based, and the project is originally from. It's we always have a lot of up spikes, but it's really it moves around the world, and there's often we see more interest, when there's some token volatility up and down, but in general, it's really everywhere. Because in in where I am, in California, life is very expensive, but if you are in a place of the world where life's a little cheaper relative to California, then you can maybe earn more with the coin app. The earnings can even become more relevant for you, and so we have lots of users in Africa, for example, all around Africa. We were just Forbes featured us in an article about the African tech and crypto scene, just because we have such a large DePIN network there, and there, in some places, you can have very meaningful income through the coin app, and that's exciting for us. Obviously, we hope that, or I hope, that there might be a future where a place, a village or a town or or anywhere in the world, controls their own destiny, where they can tokenize anything like the utilities, for example, let's say like the energy and the internet and the water and so on, right? It's owned by the people of that village, right? And you earn the return that's on of that ecosystem. That it's all then enabled through decentralized physical infrastructure, right? DePIN. And then the data, right? It's like underrepresented communities. The data is also underrepresented often. Like if you look at ChatGPT, some languages it doesn't do as well. That is because it doesn't have enough training data, or it gives you more false answers about something it doesn't get enough data about. And so with DePIN and in our case, data collection, right, you're able to mitigate that and get data from places where you usually would not get data that easily.
I mean, yeah, that's true. And the way you mentioned, all watching analytics and the demographics is always a great time to have. And like you mentioned, the purchasing parity that actually is a very great thing. Like people can actually you know make more use of it, and that there are countries that actually are too much interested in crypto, and that is a good thing for that matter. I mean, in Africa, even in Nigeria, even in India, there's a lot of people interested in crypto and stuff like that. So uh, that's amazing of you guys, and it's always great to actually see uh, the thing you've built reaching places where you've never been and stuff like that. So yes, talking about the larger structure, the macro part, what's something you feel most people still misunderstand about uh, XYO, or just the broader deepen space, because it's not a very old narrative, to be honest, right? And people have misconceptions about a lot of things like this. So what do you feel most people misunderstand about XYO, or just then that broader deepen space?
Um, yeah, I think it changed definitely, since 2018 from now, even in 2018, 2019, people thought we a drug cartel and do bad things, right? Because everything crypto was bad then. And so uh, it got better, as the world adopted crypto more. And now you have like Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs and in the United States and like all these financial products and so it got better. But I think a lot of people still think it's very complex to get into crypto, and that's true in some part. But for some different projects, you need to buy these nodes, and then you need to install 3 wallets, and then you need to interact with 2 tokens, and there's like some crazy technical requirements to get into it. But I think it's changing, right? Because as as with XYO, other different projects, I think, still also try to simplify it so that you and my grandmother can also get into crypto, right? And that it's made very easy. And I think uh, this is from a lot of people. There's this they maybe looked at crypto a few years ago and they saw how complex it is, and they okay, this is too complex for me. And now they don't want to try again, right? Because they had that bad experience. And I think now it has gotten so much easier. If you look at how exchanges work, is much easier and DeFi, but also DePIN. In our case, you can download the app, right, and then you can even you don't need a wallet to get your XYO. You can just redeem your XYO, for example, to Conway's email address, right? Or you can open an exchange account with CoinDCX or Gate or KuCoin or whoever, and send your crypto there, and then buy more, sell it, or whatever you want to do with it. And so it's very easy. So I think there's this misconception still that it's too complicated because there was such a complicated path. But I think that is on the verge of changing.
I mean, yeah, I totally agree with you on that, because the onboarding part, as easier it is, you know, easier for the people to onboard to crypto, because so many wallets, multiple wallets, like you mentioned, it gets complex for a Web 2 person to actually enter the industry. And it's a huge barrier, which you guys have actually, reverse engineered. You just brought the coin app, and like that's a big win for on that end. And I feel, yes, on that note, I would like to actually, ask, like, what's on the roadmap for 2025 and that you're personally excited about for XY.
Yeah, we are, as you said, yeah, the XYO Layer One blockchain. See, we just announced it, right? And so there's going to be many new features about the XYO Layer One in 2025. This is going to be our big focus. We're going to have some amazing partnerships. We're going to announce around it. People who will build and connect to the XYO Layer One, and that's is going to keep us busy, I think, in 2025. And then I think there's going to be some unexpected partnerships as well, and some cool announcements coming. But they come when they come. So I'm a little hesitant to give too much away today.
I mean, no pressure to reveal anything confidential, but if you accidentally drop a little alpha, I'm not stopping you there. So, yeah, I mean, it's a big year, and it's always great not to just react to trends and what's going on. You're just, working on whatever is planned, and that's great. So before you we actually, wrap this up, I would absolutely like you to actually address our community, our audience, the people who watch us, the people who read us. Is there some message you want to drop to those guys, tell about your project, something like that? You can totally go ahead and do that.
Yeah, if you're always hesitant, to join crypto, you listen to this amazing podcast, but haven't actually made your jump into crypto yet. Or maybe now is the time. The markets are down a little bit, and even if you don't want to buy crypto, maybe it's a good time, to get some crypto for free. Well, you can download the Coin app on the coinapp.co and collect crypto for free, basically. But also you check out other DePIN projects and just become part of this next revolution. I think.
Thank you, Marcus. I'll absolutely drop the links, all the links in the description down below, and also on our X page. And yes, that's it up for today for this episode of our Crypto Talk. Huge thanks to Marcus for not just, breaking down XYO, but also really showing us how real world data and blockchain can actually work together in a way that's functional, scalable, and already, be used. So if this opened your eyes to what deepen in data can really mean, go dive into XYO and check out the Coin app. And as always, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and also, let us know what stood out to you in the comments down below. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you again. This was awesome.